We'll look into noun clauses. So what is noun clause? So noun clauses are the third type of subordinate clause. Noun clauses start with noun clause markers that, or whether, or if, or what, where, when, and so on. So here are 3 example sentences to show you what they are. So I'm sure that Dr. Hopkins' office is in the building. So I'm sure. So starting from that teal building, this is the noun clause with that, marker that. So I don't know if Dr. Hopkins' office is on this floor. Please tell me where Dr. Hopkins' office is. So the noun clauses are marked with red. So word order. So you gotta be very careful with the word order because the noun clause follows statement word order, like subject and verb, not the question order. So these 2 sentences show the difference. So I don't know what her name is, and I don't know what is her name. So what is her name is the question order. But the noun clause must have this order, subject and verb, the statement word order. So function. So noun clauses function exactly as nouns do, like as subjects, as direct objects, or after the verb to be. So in this sentence, when the meeting will be held hasn't been decided. So what hasn't been decided? When the meeting will be held. So the noun clause here is functioning as subjects. In the next sentence, the weather announcer said that. So what did he or she say? That there will be thunderstorms. So this is the direct object. The noun clause is functioning as direct object. And the third one, this is what you need. So the verb to be is here. So after verb to be, what you need is the noun clause. So now let's look into the noun clause deeper by watching this YouTube video.
Hi, welcome to ingvid.com.
Hi, welcome to ingvid.com.
In today's
I'm
video,
Adam.
we're going
In
to
today's
look at some
video,
more
we're going to
advanced
look at some
grammar.
more
We're going to
advanced
look at
grammar.
the noun
We're going to
clause.
look at the
Now, you
noun
may have
clause.
seen my
Now, you
previous
may have seen
video
my
where I did an
previous
introduction
video
to
where I did an
subordinate
introduction
clauses.
to
Today, I'm going to
subordinate
look at
clauses.
only
Today,
one,
I'm going to
only the
look at
noun
only
clause,
one,
get
only
a
the
little
noun clause,
bit
get a
deeper
little
into it,
bit
show you
deeper
some
into it,
examples, show you
some
how it works,
examples,
how
show
to
you
build
how it
it,
works,
when to
how
use
to
it,
build it, when
etc.
to use it,
So before we
etc.
begin, let's
So
review
before we
what is
begin, let's
a clause.
review what is
A clause is a
A
combination
clause
of
is a
words that must
combination of
contain
words that
a
must
subject
contain
and
a
a verb.
subject and
Okay?
a verb.
Now, every
Now,
sentence
every
has at
sentence
least one
has at
independent
least
clause.
one
The noun
independent clause.
clause is
The
a
noun clause
dependent
is a
clause. Okay, I'm going to
dependent
write that
clause.
here.
Okay, I'm going
It's
to
a
write that here.
dependent.
It's a dependent.
What that means is that this clause cannot be a sentence by itself. It is always part of a sentence that contains an independent clause, but the noun clause can be part of the independent clause, and we're going to see that in a moment. But before we do that, we also have to look at the conjunctions. Okay? So these are the words, the conjunctions are the words that join the noun clause to its independent clause, or that begin the noun clause. Okay? And again, we're going to look at examples. So these are the ones you need to know. That, which, who, whom, whose, what, if, whether, when, where, how, why, and then whom, whoever, whomever, whenever, wherever, whatever, whichever. These can all be conjunctions. Now, you have to be careful with a few of them. Some of these can also be conjunctions to adjective clauses, which will be a different video lesson entirely. And you also have to remember that this clause in particular, that is quite often removed. Means it's understood to be there, it's implied, but we don't actually have to write it or say it when we're using the noun clause. And again, we're going to look at examples of that. Another thing to remember is that only some of these can be both the conjunction, the thing that starts the clause, and the subject of the clause. So for example, which can be the subject, who can be the subject, whom is always an object, never a subject, and what can be the subject. Who, whoever, whatever, whichever can also be subjects. So I'm going to put an S for these, okay? So it's very important to remember these because sometimes you have to recognize that it is both the conjunction and the clause and recognize it as a noun clause. Now, of course, it'll be much easier to understand all this when we see actual examples. So let's do that. Okay, so now we're going to look at when to use the noun clause and how to use the noun clause. So noun clauses have basically four uses, okay? Or actually five, but one of them is similar. First of all, we're going to look at it as the subject. So a noun clause can be the subject of a clause, of an independent clause. So let's look at this example. What she wore to the party really turned some heads. So what is the noun clause? What she wore to the party. Okay, so here's our conjunction. Here's our subject. And here's our verb. Okay, and then here's another verb. Remember, in every sentence, you're going to have one tense verb will have one subject that corresponds to it. Here I have two tense verbs, which means I need two subjects. So the subject for war is she. The subject for turn is the entire clause. This is the noun clause subject to this verb. Okay, turned what? Some heads. And here we have the object of the whole sentence. So this sentence is essentially SVO. So we have an independent clause, but the subject of the independent clause is a noun clause. So although you have one independent clause, this is still a complex sentence because we're using an independent and a subordinate and a dependent clause to build it. Now here, the conjunction is separate from the subject itself. We're going to look at other examples soon. Here, whoever wants to know should ask me. So if you're not sure about what's going on with clauses, a good hint, a good way to understand any sentence is to first of all identify the verbs. Now, it doesn't mean you identify all the verbs. Identify all the tense verbs. So in this case, we have want, and here we have an infinitive, so this is not a tense verb, it's just an infinitive verb, and here we have should ask. Now a modal is considered part of the tense verb, it's part of the main verb of a clause. So now, I have two verbs, of course I need two subjects. So, here's my subject for want, and here is my subject to should ask. Who should ask me? Whoever wants to know. Okay. So I still have a noun clause as the subject for the main verb, and this is your object. And wants also has its own object. So the whole SVO, SVP, SVA applies whether you're in a dependent clause or whether you're in an independent clause. And if your noun clause is part of the independent clause, all the rules still apply. Think of this as one subject with its verb and object. Here's your subject, verb, and object, and they work together. So noun clause as subject. Now we're going to look at the next example. Here we have noun clause as object or subject complement. Just to refresh your memory, an object answers the question what or whom about the verb. A subject complement answers what or whom about the subject. So let's look at the first example. So please ask mom what we're having for dinner. So what is the subject here? Of course you. Because this is an imperative. Ask who, mom. This is indirect object. You can see the IO, indirect object. Now, please ask mom what? What should you ask her? What we are having for dinner. Here we have our conjunction what. Here we have our subject we. Are having is our verb. And for dinner is your adverb. Okay. So now this whole thing is the object. Let me try to not make it too messy here. Object to the verb. Ask. Okay. Subject, verb, object, conjunction, subject, verb, and then we have our adverb there. But we're working on an object. Here's another example. Do you know? So now we're looking at it as a question. And this is one of the things you have to be careful about. Noun clauses are clauses. They're not questions. So when you see the word what, it doesn't mean necessarily that it's a question. A good hint, a good way to understand that it's not a question, but it's a noun clause, is that the subject comes before the verb. In a question, the verb will come before the subject. What are we having for dinner? Do you know if she's coming? So, do you know? So, you is the subject, know is the verb, know what. So now you need an object to the verb know. So there it is. Well, without the question mark, but you understand that? If she is coming. If is the conjunction, Subject
If is the
she
conjunction,
is coming is
subject
your
is
verb.
she,
And you
is
have a full
coming is your
clause.
verb.
And the full clause acts as the object.
And the full clause acts
to
as the
know.
object.
So
to
far, so good.
know.
Now,
So
when
far,
do
so
we
good.
use a subject
Now,
complement?
when do we
Generally,
use a
when we
subject
have a
complement?
be verb
Generally,
as
when
your
we
main
have a
verb,
be
or
verb
any
as your main
copular or
verb,
linking
or
verb,
any
like
copular
seem,
or linking
appears,
verb, like
or
seem,
looks like.
appears,
These are not
or
action
looks like.
verbs.
These
There's
are
a
not
situation
action
verbs,
verbs.
and so we
There's a
use them like a be
situation
verb,
verbs,
like an
and so we
equal
use them
sign.
like a be verb,
And we're
like an
talking
equal
about the
sign.
subject. So
And we're talking
Paul
about the subject.
isn't. So
Paul
Paul is your subject.
Isn't. So Paul
Is
is your
not
subject.
is your verb. Is not
Is
what?
not is your verb. Is not what?
What is generally considered handsome?
What is generally considered
Subject,
handsome?
verb,
Subject,
verb.
verb,
Split up. Okay.
verb.
Considered
up,
handsome
okay.
is what?
Considered handsome is what?
The object to considered.
The object to considered.
So is considered handsome is
So
the
is
subject
considered
complement
handsome
tells you
is the
about
subject
Paul.
complement tells you about
Paul is like
Paul. Paul
not
is like
handsome.
not.
But not you can't say not directly handsome.
But
just
not you can't
most
say not
people
directly handsome.
look at him, they
Most
wouldn't
people
think he's a
look at him,
handsome
they
person.
wouldn't think
General
he's a handsome
idea.
person.
Okay.
General
But again,
idea.
subject,
Okay.
verb, subject,
But again,
complement.
subject, verb,
subject, verb,
complement.
object,
Subject,
etc.
verb,
subject,
object, etc.
verb, object,
Subject,
or whatever.
verb,
You
object, or
must
whatever.
understand how the
You must
independent clause
understand
works
how the
in order to be
independent
able to
clause
use the
works
noun
in
clauses
order to be able
properly
to use the
in their
noun
positions.
clauses properly
But so
in
far
their
we've looked at
positions.
noun clause
But
as
so far
subject,
we've looked at
noun clause as
as
object,
subject,
noun clause
noun
as
clause
subject
as object,
complement.
noun clause
We
as
still have
subject
to look at
complement.
two more
We
uses
still have
of
to
the noun
look at
clause.
two
Let's
more
look at
uses
those
of
now.
the noun clause. Let's look at those now.
Okay, so now we're going to look at
Okay,
the
so
other
now
two
we're gonna
types
look
of
at
noun clauses, or the other two
types
uses of the
clauses,
noun
or the
clause.
other two uses
The
of
first
the noun
one we're going to
clause.
look at is
The
the
first one
object
we're going to look
again.
at is the object again.
But this time we're looking at the object of a
This time we're looking
preposition.
at the object of a preposition.
So in this case, what is a preposition? Words
in this
like
case, what is a
for,
preposition?
about,
Words like
to.
for,
So these are
about,
prepositions,
to.
and
So
prepositions
these are prepositions,
take
and
objects.
prepositions
So we can use a
take
noun
objects.
clause as
So
an
we can use
object to a
noun clause
preposition.
as an object to a
Sarah
preposition.
should not be held
Sarah
responsible
should not be held
for.
responsible.
So now I'm giving you an explanation what she should be responsible for.
What she should be
For
responsible for.
what her brother
For
does. So
what
here's
her
your
brother
noun clause.
does. So again, here's your noun clause.
And it is the object of for.
And it is the
and the
object
whole
of
expression
for.
with
And
the
the whole
preposition
expression
is a
with the
complement
preposition
to be
is
held
a
responsible.
complement to
I'm
be held
completing the
responsible.
meaning.
I'm
But this
completing
is
the
not.
meaning. But
This is where you have to be careful. It's not an object to the verb.
It's not
Should
an
not
object
be
to
held.
the verb.
It's
should
an
not
object
be
to the
held.
preposition
It's an object
for.
to the preposition.
Here's another example.
For.
And here
Here's
I'm going to
another
have two.
example.
So sometimes
And here I'm
remember,
gonna have two.
an
So
object, a
sometimes
sentence can have
remember,
many
an
objects.
object, a sentence
Just
can have
like
many
a noun
objects.
clause can be
Just
used many
like
times.
a noun clause
It's
can be
more a
used many
question
times.
of.
It's more
So here's
a
your
question
preposition.
of. So here's your
Of whom
preposition.
she said it
Of
to.
whom she said it
Then,
to.
and this is another preposition.
Then, and here's this is
Then
another
why
preposition.
she said it.
Then
So whom
why
she
she
said it to is
So
more
whom she said it to
the
is
thing we need to
more
understand more than
the thing we need to
why she
understand
said
more
it.
than
But again, it doesn't
why
matter
she
because
said it.
here's your
But again,
here's
it
your
doesn't
first
matter
one.
because here's your first one.
Here's your first noun clause. Notice I'm using
Here's
whom
your first
because
noun
it's
clause.
to
Notice I'm
whom.
using whom because
Okay.
it's to whom.
And then why she
And
said it. So here's
then
another
why she said
noun
it. So here's
clause
another
object.
noun
Object
clause
here, object
Object
here.
here.
It doesn't
object.
matter what preposition you're using,
It doesn't
but if
matter
it
what
needs an
preposition you're
object,
using,
you can
but
use
if
a
it
noun
needs an
clause
object,
for
you
that.
can use a noun clause
And then
for
we
that.
have the
And
adjective
then we
complement.
have the adjective
Adjective
complement.
complement.
Adjective
So
complement.
sometimes we have a sentence that's
Sometimes
complete,
we have a sentence
but then we
that's
want to give a
complete.
bit more
But
information
then we want
because
to give a bit
although
more
the
information
sentence is
because
complete, the
although
idea
the
is
sentence
complete,
is complete,
it
the
needs
idea
more
is
information.
complete.
So I shouldn't
It
say that.
needs
The
more
idea
information. So I
is
shouldn't
not
say that. The
necessarily
idea
complete.
is
But
not
the sentence
necessarily
is complete and can
But the
stand on its
sentence
own.
is
It can
complete and
independent.
can stand on
So
its own.
I
It's
am happy.
independent. So I am
Complete
happy.
sentence. I am happy. It's a complete idea
sentence,
as well.
I am happy.
But
It's a complete
there are
idea
many
as well.
reasons
But
to be happy.
there are many
So I want
reasons
to give
to be
more
happy.
information
So I
to
want
make
to
it a
give more
more
information to make it
complete
a
idea.
more
So then I can
complete
add
idea.
a
So then I
noun
can
clause
add
with
a
that.
noun clause
Now you notice I
with
put it
that.
between brackets.
Now you notice
Why?
I put it
Because I
between
can take it out.
brackets. Why? Because
I am
can
happy
take it
that
out.
you've decided to come.
I am happy
or
that you've decided
I am
to
happy
come,
you've
or
decided to come.
I am happy
now,
you've decided
more
to come.
often than not,
Now,
people
more
will take
often
this
than
out.
not,
Why?
people will take
Because
this
extra
out.
words. We don't need
Why?
them.
Because
You
extra words, we
understand
don't
it's
need
there.
them. You
Just concentrate
understand
on
it's
what
there.
I'm saying.
Just
So
concentrate
again,
on
subject,
what I'm saying.
verb,
So
to
again,
come,
subject,
object.
verb, to
All
come,
of this
object.
is
All
giving
of
me
this
more information
is
about
giving me
the
more
happy.
information about
Happy why
the happy
that
why
you've decided to come.
that you've decided.
I'm
to come.
unsure.
I'm
I
unsure.
am unsure.
I
Again,
am
complete complete
unsure.
sentence, technically.
Again,
but
complete sentence, technically.
there's a reason
but
you're not sure, right?
There's a reason
so you
you're
want
not
to
sure,
complete
right?
this
So you want to
idea
complete
with a
this
noun clause.
idea with a noun clause.
I'm unsure if he's coming.
I'm unsure if he's coming.
Conjunction. Now be careful.
Conjunction.
If is also
Now be
an
careful.
adverb conjunction.
If is also an
but this is not an
adverb
adverb
conjunction.
situation.
But this is not
This is a
an
noun
adverb
clause
situation.
conjunction,
This is a
subject
noun
verb.
clause
That's
conjunction,
it.
subject
Complete
verb.
clause.
That's it.
Now,
Complete clause.
one last thing I want to mention.
Now, one last thing I want
Remember
to mention.
I said a noun clause can be a subject, it can be an
a noun
object.
clause can
So
be a
you
subject, it
can
can be an
have a
object.
sentence
So you can
that
have a
the subject is a noun clause
that
and the object is a
subject
noun clause.
and
So
the
it looks
object
very
is a noun clause.
complicated, but it's
So
not.
it looks very complicated,
That
but
she
it's
might
not.
be right.
That she might be right.
This is your noun clause subject.
This is your noun
is your
clause
main
subject.
verb.
Is
What
your
frightens
main
you?
verb. What frightens
Noun clause again as
you. Noun
subject
clause
complement.
again as subject
Her
complement.
being right scares me.
Her being
is another
right
way to say
scares
it.
me.
But some people like to have very fancy, very long sentences. And again, why would I write that she might be right is what frightens me, and not if it's scary that she might be right.
It's scary that she
With
might
this
be right.
kind of sentence.
Like with
Both
this
are
kind
okay.
of sentence.
This one
Both are okay.
will be more
This
emphatic.
one will
People
be
will
more
listen to
emphatic.
this sentence or
People
read this sentence with
listen to
more
this sentence
attention
or read this
because
sentence
it's
with
long.
more attention
Because you started a
because it's
sentence
long.
with that,
Because you
which is not
started a
very
sentence
common.
with that,
So you're
which is not
forcing
very
something.
common.
You're forcing
So you're
the
forcing
reader,
something. You're
if it's
forcing
written,
the
to
reader,
take
if it's
attention,
written,
to give
to
attention.
take attention.
Not
to
very
give attention.
commonly used in
Not
spoken
very
English,
commonly
but it is
used in
sometimes.
spoken English.
In written
but it is
English,
sometimes.
much more
In
common.
written English, much
Last
more common.
sentence. How you
Last
go
sentence.
about doing your work
How you go about
should
doing
not
your work
affect when you get it
should
done.
not affect when
How
you
you
get
go
it done.
about doing your work.
How you go
So
about
how you
doing
work.
your work. So how you work.
Your should not affect. This is your main
should
verb.
not affect. This is your
When
main verb.
you get it done.
When you get it done.
I don't care how you do your work. That's not important. How you do it is how you do it.
That's not important.
When
How
you
you do it is
finish
how
is
you
more
do it.
important to me.
When you finish
And how
is
you
more
do it
important
should
to me.
have no
And how you do
bearing,
it
should have no effect
bearing,
on
should have no
when you
effect
finish it. If you
on
finish it at the
when you
deadline.
finish it. If you
But
finish
again,
it
we're
at
not
the
worried about the
deadline.
meaning
But
right
again,
now. We're
we're
worried
not worried
about the
about the meaning
structure.
right now. We're
Noun
worried
clause
about the
subject,
structure.
main
Noun
verb,
clause subject,
noun clause
main
object,
verb,
complete
noun clause
sentence. The
object,
whole thing
complete
is
sentence.
technically
The
an
whole
independent
thing
clause.
is technically
But
an
again,
independent clause.
it's considered a
But again,
complex sentence
it's considered
because
a
it uses
complex
both
sentence because it uses both
independent and dependent clauses to build it.
clauses.
Now, I've given you a lot of information today. I know it might be a little bit confusing. Make sure that you have some bit of background. There's a good lesson I did on the sentence types. Simple, compound, complex, compound, complex. So 4 sentence types. You should review that video. It will help a little bit with this as well. With this, it might also help you understand